Today's video comes with a quick disclaimer. If you're new here, you might think that this is a faith-based channel, but it's not. I'm actually an English teacher, and I'm recording these videos to help learners get exposed to natural, everyday English, especially the people who are using my language acquisition protocol, which you will find linked below. That said, everything I do, including teaching, is deeply influenced by my faith. So just this once, I'll be talking about my personal faith journey as part of this daily English series. I hope you're curious enough to watch the whole thing and stick till the end where you will find a little surprise. Here we go. So you saw the thumbnail, I became a Christian, and maybe you thought it was kind of awkward. It probably sounds strange coming from an Italian, since most Italians are Catholic. And yeah, I went to Mass every Sunday. I did everything I was supposed to do as a Catholic. But if you had asked me what I actually believed, I would have felt seriously embarrassed. I didn't really believe some of the things I was expected to believe. I had questions. I had big questions, but I was too ashamed to ask them. Still, I kept doing what was expected of me. And I kind of brushed off that discomfort as something that maybe everybody went through. I was also part of the main Italian Girl Scout Association, which has a strong Catholic foundation. And I remember when I took my scout oath, I had to promise to be faithful to God forever. That was one of the biggest inner struggles I'd ever felt. I wanted to be part of the community, but I didn't believe the words I was saying out loud. I took my oath anyway. But some of my peers didn't really believe in God at all, and they told me, well, you're not supposed to believe it, just say the words. And others said they did believe, but then their actions didn't match their beliefs. So this kind of double life went on until I was about 20. That's when the struggle became heavy. I went to confession hoping to talk openly to a priest that I trusted, and I had so many questions, but he kind of rushed through everything. And immediately he asked, are you sexually active with your boyfriend? I said yes. He told me I had to stop immediately because, true love waits for marriage. And at that time, marriage wasn't even on my radar. I was just dating someone. So I told him I didn't think I was sinning. He said, well, if you don't believe it's a sin, you can't be absolved. And I asked, what does that mean? He said, it means you're excommunicated from the church. Oddly enough, I felt relieved. That was the way out of the hypocrisy I had been living in. So since I was excommunicated, I could finally stop pretending. I left the Scout Association, I stopped going to church, and I started calling myself an atheist. But that didn't solve my real problem. I was still searching for something, for happiness, I guess, and I tried to make myself happy in all sorts of ways. Some healthy ways, some questionable. I even hurt people along the way. And one of the things I did, I bought myself a Harley Davidson. I'd always loved motorcycles, and at 26, I finally got one. And in the first year, I rode it for 50,000 kilometers alone, camping wherever I could. At one rally, I met a guy, and I started chatting with him in my usual flirty way, but he was clearly uncomfortable. And after a few minutes, he said, look, I'm not looking for anything. I'm not looking for a one-night stand. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. And he said, when I'm with someone, it will be my wife. That stopped me in my tracks. And I asked, why would you say that? He said, well, you come across as flirty, but I don't think you're looking for a boyfriend. You're probably looking for happiness. And you're not going to find that in me or in anyone else. Now, keep in mind, he was handsome, well-spoken, a clean-cut biker type. And then he told me he had started reading the Bible because a coworker challenged him to. And he said he discovered two things. Number one, he was a sinner. Number two, the wage of sin is eternal separation from God, and he didn't want that. So he kept reading, and he found out that he could receive the gift of eternal life through Jesus Christ. Now, since then, he said he had been going to Christ daily, and no matter what life threw at him, he had peace and joy. And I just stood there, jaw on the floor. I mean, who has that kind of conversation at a Harley Davidson rally? And then he said, well, it was nice talking to you. And he walked away. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I wanted what he had. I realized I had tried everything to make myself happy. I had never tried Christ. Days went by and I still couldn't get his words out of my head. And 8 days later, I went to another meetup and there he was again. And as soon as he saw me, he said, "Oh, hey, I have something for you." He pulled out a tiny piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to me. And I took it, I said thanks, and I went straight home to read it. On one side, it said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That's exactly how I felt. Like I've been carrying a burden my whole life and I just ignored it. On the other side, it said, "Lord, you have cast all my sins behind your back." And that word sin, it hit me. For the first time, I saw myself clearly. I wasn't a good person. Even the good things that I had done, they were selfish, just to make me feel good. I'd always rejected the idea of sin. It felt outdated, but that night I couldn't run from it anymore. I got down on my knees. I read those words again and again, and I felt the weight of my sin crashing down on me. I was torn because part of me wanted to go back to not knowing, to keep ignoring it like I had before. But the other part of me was drawn to Christ. I felt compelled to pray for the first time in my life. At 4:23 a.m. on September 23rd, 2011, at the age of 27, I talked to God. I asked him to forgive me and take the burden away. And in that moment, I felt it lift. I knew I was forgiven. I knew Christ had paid for my sin. And for the first time ever, I felt real peace. The next day, all I wanted was to know more about him. I felt a kind of joy that was full and deep and unshakable no matter the circumstances. And believe me, I've faced hard ones in the 14 years since. But that joy has never left me. This faith has impacted every area of my life, including my work and my relationships. My joy comes from honoring God, not because it makes him love me more, because he already loved me fully and saved me when I had no hope. For my husband and me, honoring God might look like doing our best at work, treating people with kindness, forgiving others and forgiving each other, and growing in our knowledge of Christ by reading the Bible daily. My relationship with Christ is at the center of my life. That's why I even include it in my language learning. I read the Bible in both German and English, so I can talk to more people about the one who changed my life. Now, this is the special thing that I want to show you. There's one song that perfectly describes what happened to me that night. It's called "Dead Men Walking" by Jeremy Camp. I will link it in the description. I would like for you to go ahead and listen to it and then come back and tell me what you think about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.